Hello, Sink Pissers. Josh from the Clearing Waivers podcast coming at you for another winning week of the Clearing Waivers podcast. We're all rolling. Well, two out of the three of us are rolling from this Chiefs victory on Sunday night. Very excited to talk about it. We'll get into it this week for sure. We'll probably save the Super Bowl preview till next week with this week in between. It'll kind of give us something to spit our hot fire takes out at that time. So we're just going to kind of talk a little bit about this past weekend in the NFL. But before we do that, let's check in with our co-host, Brian. How was your week? How did you celebrate this victory? Are you still riding that adrenaline right now?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I celebrated with beers and more beers and beers after that. And I mean, almost like my heart rate went down after the Chiefs game started. It was the anxiety of waiting for that game to start all day. And then the game before that is really competitive. And it gave me shades of 2015 Royals playoffs when we had to watch the game 5 in Toronto. Joey bat flips, and I'm just like, I'm a heart attack. I'm a mess, and my game hasn't even started yet. My elimination game is right after that, and that's what it felt like this Sunday. And as soon as the game started, I kind of evened out again and found myself kind of chilled out until that muff punt.
Yep, that muff punt really sent our blood pressures collectively shooting through the air, and they're like, "Oh wait, this is fine. This is what they do in the playoffs."
Yep.
Kitty, how was your weekend? I assume you didn't watch any of the Chiefs game.
I actually found myself watching the Chiefs game this weekend.
Okay.
I mean, there was real not a whole lot on Sunday at 5:30.
Yeah.
So golf was wrapping up, so I was able to turn over to the Chiefs game and watch some NFL playoffs.
So how did you celebrate?
Just had a couple more drinks and went to bed.
Okay.
That's about it.
Just a casual Sunday night for you this
right.
week.
That's all it was.
Well, that's nothing to be ashamed of. It's always a nice night not having to stress about your team as much as we did. But let's get into it here with the clearing the waivers. Let's get into the Chiefs beating the Bills. But first, we got to hear that sexy theme song. We're clearing the waivers. Chiefs beat the Buffalo Bills 38-24. I felt like I needed to run through 17 tables afterwards, but they will be moving on to play the Buccaneers of the Tampa Bay variety in Super Bowl 55. Chiefs gave up a field goal on that opening drive, then went 3 and out. So kind of, little jib-a-jab a little bit there, and then forced a Buffalo punt. Muff the punt, of course. Buffalo got possession at the 2-yard line. We were all collectively disgusted, and turns out everything was fine. That's about when Patrick Mahomes started going scorched earth on everyone, and then it was pretty much a done deal after the second or third quarter. But as usual, Brian, what was the standout to you in this game?
The standout was I loved the game plans on both sides of the ball in this game. But let's focus on the offense first. I think going into this, the coaches probably expected Buffalo was going to come with a similar approach as they used earlier in the year, where they said, please run the ball on us. We'll let you run the ball on us. Just please don't throw it over the top of us. And so I think they kind of went into this week and said, okay, let's find holes underneath, but we can still use our weapons, our valuable weapons, our elite weapons. And my God, they are, Joshua.
Yes, they are.
You have got to get the ball in Patrick's hands and let him dole it out to 2 studs, Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. And we toyed with this idea, a few weeks ago and said, should we just force 10 to 15 targets to Tyreek every week and see what happens? Because he's amazing. We haven't seen anything like him ever. We've seen people with high end speed. We've seen people with nice agility. We've seen people with great acceleration. But he has literally a 99 Madden rating in all of those at once. And I don't think we've seen a player like him. I think it's special to watch him start, stop, start. I mean, nobody does it like that. It's just top speed immediately. You'll never see a guy, he catches a ball out in the flats, and most guys will turn and start running in or start running out. He just does this quick 180, flip around, looks at the cornerback and says, hey, motherfucker, where do you want to go here, right or left? And he just puts their ass in the jackpot right off the bat. He catches the ball, whoop, right around. How are we going to play this? And then he's gone. So I think they kind of just found ways to find those holes that aren't over the top, that mid-level, how we can attack that linebacker level, because nobody can stay in front of Tyreek. Nobody can stay in front of Travis Kelce. Even if you're bracketing them sometimes, you can't stay with them. Get them the ball in space. And my God, we saw yards after catch, and Tyreek can do that better than any receiver in the league, I feel like.
Yep. That was it was funny to watch. Tony Romo is always very, very consistently right on the money when it comes to his analysis. And he was begging the Buffalo Bills to rush 4, drop everybody else back.
He wanted
And
3.
especially those safeties. He wanted 3 deep safeties. And he's like, make them beat you underneath. By God, that first pass of the second half was Tyreek underneath. He zooms around that cornerback down the sideline, and that's when he stepped out of bounds on whatever. But it was just like, yeah, I mean, that's exactly what you get when you do that.
Yeah, and I mean, and they designed some plays for McCole too on the end around the jet sweep to play to get him the outside. Just get the ball to your speed and let them make plays and beat guys after they touch the ball, and not have to make those plays through the air, 15 to 25 yards down the field. Get the ball in their hands and let them make plays, and they did. And on top of that, I thought, Clyde didn't have great numbers, but I think he looked pretty good. He didn't look like he was limping around or any hindrance at all. So I think that's a promising sign to take in the next week. He didn't get much bang on him this week, so I feel good about that. And they weren't just forcing the run game. They said, you want to have a light box, we're just going to tear you apart. And it's hard not to take Mahomes for granted when you watch him every week, but those plays where there's a guy hanging on him and he just uses all his arm to put a perfect pass to Kelce. He did back-to-back throws on one drive. Like one drive was just all him being superhuman. It felt like, and it's just crazy. If we haven't already, we're going to take him for granted, and we shouldn't, because when you watch the rest of the football league, I mean, there's nobody like him.
He's legitimately ruined the quarterback position for me. I cannot watch other quarterbacks now without being like, why can't you throw the ball when you're parallel with the ground and throw it 30 yards? Why can't you do that? I mean, can't every standard quarterback do that? No, not quite. Not quite.
Or why can't you, every time you're running to your right, throw it back against the grain like you're never supposed to do ever, and make it complete to Kelce every single time?
Mm-hmm.
He does that so many times. He goes against the grain where you're supposed to keep it outside the numbers, and he's like, nah, I'll throw it towards the middle of the field as much as I want to because I'm Patrick Mahomes. Doesn't matter.
And any other quarterback you would see, you're like, oh no, don't do that. But in Patrick Mahomes, you're like, okay, let's see what happens. Let's see who's wide open right now. Because it's going to happen. It's going to be Tyreek Hill. It's going to be Demarcus Robinson. It's going to be someone that's wide open, and they're going to take it another 20 yards. It's absolutely bonkers. Brian, you brought up the McCole Hardman sweep, and I think I need to add a new favorite play in sports to my book, and it's when a guy with exceptional speed is out in the open field with 2 offensive linemen with a 20-yard lead in front of them. I think that's just like, that's fireworks, baby.
Yeah, that was phenomenal. That was that was on my standout list. Those offensive linemen running down the field 40 yards. I love that. I love that stuff too. Because apparently there was no one to block on the linebacker level because they were untouched. So they was like, where is a safety or cornerback for me to hit? I got to hit somebody. I'm 40 yards downfield on a running play. What are we doing? Oh, it was great. I love that too.
Pringle had a good chip on the linebacker there to kind of seal off the outside for McCole. But yeah, once you realize that McCole had open space and then he caught up to 2 linemen that were downfield, you're like, oh, this is going to go for a while. And sure enough,
that defender actually made a great play to save the touchdown, because Eric Fisher against that guy, 9 out of 9, 10, he's buried.
Pancake City.
Yes, he made a great play to save the touchdown.
Yeah, it was a very good, great schemed up offensive plan. Darrell Williams had another great game. We talked about the potential duo of him and Clyde being enough for the next few years, I think. And I think we got a good taste of what both of them could bring, because Darrell Williams is great on third down. Great third down blocker, still makes some great catches. I mean, the fact that he can turn around with his back to the quarterback and still make a great play on 4th and 2 or whatever it was, and still run upfield to get the first down. It's just another weapon, another combo, another way that they can disguise what they want to do with these players. And I think that using a player like that is Andy Reid at his finest, and I love it. I love it so much. This also very much felt like Patrick Mahomes going scorched earth. It was talked about the whole time. All leading up to it was Josh Allen, Buffalo Bills, Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen, Sean McDermott, blah blah blah, and Patrick Mahomes. The graphic, it was an ESPN graphic saying that the Bills had the advantage at quarterback. I mean, what is happening?
That is the dumbest thing possible.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. Yeah, that's
exactly.
That's just the dumbest thing possible. And the Bills could say everything right the whole week leading up to it, giving them no bulletin board material. One ESPN graphic is enough for Patrick Mahomes to say, fuck you. This is what's going to happen. You're going to say Josh Allen, who after this? That's the way this night's going to end. And here we are. Patrick Mahomes is a monster.
Yep. And I think part of that, too, when you talk about Josh Allen being quieted down, was a great defensive game plan that they put together on that. I think they going into this game, number one with the bullet is limiting Stephon Diggs. And my God, they did it. They held him to 33 yards until garbage time. And a lot of times you saw bracket coverage when he did get a target. You saw Juan Thornhill over the top and somebody underneath him, usually Charvarius Ward, somebody else.
There was one play where Dan Sorensen and Anthony Hitchens were the guys bracketing. I was like, what is happening?
Yeah, but they did a great job limiting him. And another thing Tony Romo kept pointing out as the game went along was the sticky coverage. He liked to point out and say, nobody's open when Josh Allen looks downfield here. Like they've let Louis Riddick yesterday put out a nice tweet about the secondary saying that they've got a great pressing secondary and L'Jarius Sneed is a future shutdown corner.
Yep.
I mean, these guys are getting recognized across national attention. So it's nice to see that the secondary, it's still pretty young with Thornhill, and Ward and Sneed. And welcome back Juan Thornhill, by the way. He was all over the place.
Oh, boy.
Flying around the field. And that's something we hadn't seen. He even got him benched, kind of equivalent of bench midway through the season because he just wasn't showing that range and elite athleticism as he was last year. So putting that stuff all together, man, that defense looks not like the okay that this offense needs. They look like a good defense, and they made a good offense look very lost a lot of Sunday. So
the whole narrative going into this game was this Buffalo team is so much better than it was when the Chiefs beat them in week 6. They were the number one team in weighted DVOA in the playoffs in the NFL. They are the number one offense since week 6 of the loss to Kansas City. They are the defense that held a potent Baltimore offense to 3 points last week, and they seem to have all the backing of anybody that did not have a rooting interest in this team. Everyone wanted to see Bills Mafia going through tables. They wanted to see the curse broken, and they get what they wanted. And it seemed like all the momentum was going against the Chiefs and especially this defense, and it didn't matter. They played amazing. 4 sacks worth 53 yards, which is hilarious. That's that drunk Josh Allen stuff there.
Those are those plays where he thinks he's gotten away enough times where now he thinks he can get away every time, which becomes the curse in a game in a big game like this where, I'm now got a 20-yard sack. And some of those, I think they actually gave him a couple extra yards he shouldn't have got.
Yep.
He was fighting. He was still fighting. It wasn't technically to me as far as forward progress wasn't done yet. So
and don't get me wrong,
even more yards.
There's plenty of times where he had a hand on him or was getting pushed out of bounds and still got rid of the ball and made a damn good play on it. It's not. That's kind of the fun. It's kind of like that drunk beer pong player. It's like he's hammered, but boy, is he lights out on the beer pong table. That's what it felt like.
Just get him in that window.
Yeah, just find that.
Right.
Just find that sweet spot, and he's good shape. Chiefs had 10 quarterback hits on Josh Allen, and then I saw Ed Warder on Twitter said that the Chiefs pressured Josh Allen on 47% of his dropbacks, which is the most pressure for a quarterback in a playoff game since ESPN was tracking it in 2009. Wow. That included on 12, they pressured him on 10 of them. Jeez. That's how you do it, baby. Yeah. That's how you get in. Frank Clark, 2 sacks, 2 quarterback hits. Alex Hitchens, huge game from Alex Hitchens. Led the team in tackles, all definitely like not pushing, but like positioning people, being the field general out of that linebacker group. And then, like you said, Juan Thornhill, huge game, 4 passes defense. There was one official pick. They did have a pick on the 2-point conversion. And then there was like 3 or 4 more that could have been picked. There's very, very likely that if they had just made 1 or 2 of those, we're not talking about Josh Allen at all. We're talking about how Bills are even more of a hole and more of a deficit than they are. This is a fly on a rhino's back at that point. Josh Allen, Occam's away from having a terrible game, and I don't think that's getting enough run.
Well, on top to that point, I think you take away a muffed punt. This game is a blowout. They get the junk onside kick at the end. They get some garbage points. That if you take away those fluky plays, this game's a blowout, and it kind of felt that way ever. The bit about Bill, and things changed quickly, and they made it look quite easy on both. It was an impressive win.
Yep.
At some point, the Chiefs probably should think about stop falling down at least 9 points per game in the playoffs.
I'm not sure people would learn not to write them off.
Exactly. At some point, they need to stop doing this.
Got them right where we want them.
Yeah,
why?
Exactly.
I mean, what's
now
wrong
they're all
with
just
it?
Everyone thinks they're going to win easily. You got us down 9 points at least, or 10, or 15, or 24. No, you got nothing.
And that kind of made I hate to pick on teams like the Bears, but I couldn't help but think at the beginning of this game,
Ricochet shot city coming in.
The Bills go down, kick a field goal. Chiefs, Tyreek drops a pass he never drops on that 3rd down play, and we got to punt it away. And, that sucks, but we're probably going to score at least 35 points.
Right.
You look at a team that has no offense, and you have a play like that to Wims in the end zone, and it went through his hands. Bears fan says, "Fuck, that was our chance. We're dead now."
Not happening.
This is kind of to your point about taking things for granted, because at this point, like, especially on 3rd and long, I feel like any 3rd and long situation is pick upable. Whereas I think I've made this point before, when it was Alex Smith or somebody like that, 3rd and 4 was a 50-50 shot.
It's coming. A 3-yard route was coming.
Yes. Yep.
That much you knew was coming. Just hoping that guy would break 1 tackle.
Yep.
So it seems like, to me, the big standout was the fact that the offense we knew was going to come. We knew that they were going to put 35 up regardless of the first 3 and out, a muff punt that led to a touchdown for Buffalo. We knew that they were going to score 35 points at some point. It was the clouds were going to open up and the rain was coming. The defense is why this game was over in the 3rd quarter.
Yep.
Wanted to say about this, I think I made that point in the chat, but if the Chiefs played this way every game, they are unbeatable.
Mm-hmm.
There's no team in the NFL that can beat them if they're playing like they played on Sunday night. And they didn't even play a perfect game.
Right.
They played one of the better games of the 4 consistent quarters, more or less.
Yeah.
There was no injuries. Patrick Mahomes didn't get injured, so that certainly helped. Otherwise, I thought the Browns game was going to turn into that as well. But this is one of the few games this year where it was 4 quarters of put together football, and potentially one of the best games that they had. Still not as good as they could be. So
I think so. I think that's right.
Just I keep hearing the Chiefs podcasts lately are talking about like the Ravens having to pay Lamar Jackson, Buffalo potentially having to pay Joshua Allen, and how that kind of makes you uncomfortable because you're getting them on cheap contracts right now, which is what you want. That's when your big contention window is open, and they still aren't good enough to pull the Chiefs. Their contract hasn't kicked in, obviously, but they paid their guy. They have it set for a couple seasons here. And these other teams are going to have to start making decisions about how their not good enough team is going to get over that hump after they paid their not good enough quarterback.
Yep. I told you earlier, like there was that viral clip going around of Skip Bayless saying that the Chiefs were in no man's land by, kind of sleepwalking through the end of the season. But those teams that you just talked about are truly in no man's land. If you're a Bills fan, if you're a Ravens fan, excited can you be about, oh, well, shit, now we just go that we have to sign on with them. We have to give them $40 million, but that means we're not paying the rest of the people around him very much.
Right.
So how are we getting better to beat the Chiefs if we can't
Yep.
beat them currently, like you said, Josh? And to be, that's no man's land. Like, I'd almost
Yes.
rather be a horrible team right now in the AFC than be a good team in the AFC, because
Yes.
it's not going anywhere for the next 2 or 3 years at least. And
Yeah. I'd feel a lot better as a Bills fan paying Josh Allen than I would as a Ravens fan extending Lamar
Oh yeah.
Jackson.
Yep.
Especially
Just-
after this year.
I mean, yeah, 2 years ago I would have said I wouldn't extend either one of them. But Josh Allen was really good this year, so he's seems to have the chops to do it. But
Mhm.
yeah, I would not want to be a Ravens fan right now, where you know you have to pay Lamar Jackson big money. The only saving grace for them is their front office seems to always do a pretty good job drafting. So they can at least
Very good drafting.
hang their hat on draft skill that they can usually get playmakers in the draft. So
Yep.
but yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, you really want to be a team right now where you're thinking 2 or 3 years away is your window to start competing, because that's where probably the skill position guys, the Chiefs, start to have some issues.
mm-hmm.
Bengals right there in that sweet spot of 2 to 3 years out.
Let's hope so. Pass the torch. Get
See,
ready. 2024.
Secretly, I think I've asked Rance this on the podcast 2 or 3 times, and this is going to be a secret between us and all the sink pissers, and Rance is still not going to understand it. But this is why I keep asking him about paying Dak Prescott and how he feels about it, because that to me feels like no man's land. They paid Cooper, they paid Zeke, and now they got to pay Dak Prescott, who is admittedly not a winner or just above average or whatever shape you want to call it. It's still not going to be good enough to beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl potentially. So I'm going to keep asking him that, and we can all laugh to ourselves while he tries to find a way to justify that. I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up the field goal right before half that the Bills kicked, 4th and goal from the 2-yard line, 11 seconds left in the first half, 21-9 game. Chiefs get the ball out at halftime. They looked unstoppable. The offense did the whole time. McDermott elects for the field goal instead of that trying a 4th down conversion. And all week leading the game, we nerd nonstop about how good this offense is. What a kick in the nuts to that offense it had to be for your coach to send the kicker out there on 4th and goal from the 2. I mean, that's got to be you cannot beat the Chiefs kicking field goals. Why is this a secret still?
Right. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense because they hadn't done anything since that muff punt.
Yeah.
When they got to 9 points, they hadn't done anything the whole half since then. They get a great 2-minute drive, and then you bail at the 2-yard line.
Yep.
What are you doing?
Yep.
Yeah. And then, the good news is it's still a 2-possession game.
Yeah. And I mean,
Great call.
We talked about, Summer brought that up in the chat. I can't remember which game it was last weekend that it went from a 2-possession game to a 2-possession game on I can't remember which game it was, but it was a field goal similar to this situation. In that situation, it was a touchdown and a field goal ties it instead of needing 2 touchdowns. But that's different against the Chiefs. Like, you're going to need 2 touchdowns, period.
You're not stopping. I don't see any team shutting out the Chiefs for an entire half.
No.
Just in any playoff game. You're not going to do it. No one has the
49ers kind of did in the Super Bowl last year, but they have an elite pass rush, a great front 7 to do that, and a really good secondary as well. So do you have that? No?
Yeah,
okay,
Bills
you better go for this.
Right. You got to go for 6 there.
You got to. Let's move on here to the second point here, the injuries. The 2 big ones were L'Jarius Sneed in the concussion protocol. I was talking to Brian today. It doesn't really seem like it's something that is going to keep him out of the Super Bowl. Given the 2 weeks, we'll see. Concussions are always kind of tricky, but that could be a big loss, especially if they go without him against this Tampa Bay wide receiver core. That's really, really good. But the big one is Eric Fisher, and we might have seen the last time in a Chiefs uniform that game potentially.
Yep.
Brian, what are your thoughts about these 2 injuries?
Yeah, I think the Fisher injury is huge, especially after we watched what Tampa Bay's front 4 did against the Packers offensive line that we've been saying all year is, giving Rodgers 8 seconds a drop back. They were all over him all day long. So that's concerning. We can talk about the game plan next week. I think I like having 2 weeks to try to scheme how we're going to go against that front four without our 2 starting offensive tackles. I think Andy's always done a good job of working with that on the fly. I'm just glad, this didn't happen on the second play of the game and they're scrambling to throw somebody out there and change the entire script to affect the effect. Concussions, you never know with Snead, but I mean, odds are he's going to be cleared before that game starts. We saw Breland get cleared. So I think he'll be back unless something crazy's going on, but I expect Snead to be back and the team to basically be at full health outside of our 2 outside tackles. And Willie Gay, he may or may not play, but they don't really like to use him much anyway for some reason. So
obviously with the Super Bowl, you want to have all your weapons at your disposal when you can use them. So Willie Gay would be, it'd be nice to have him there, but like you said, not much usage. But Eric Fisher, the torn Achilles, ruptured Achilles, whatever you want to call it, usually has a 10-month recovery timeline. So you're looking at, in theory, maybe next November before he's potentially back. Next year is his last year on contract with the Chiefs. They are kind of strapped in the cap situation. They can get rid of his contract and save some money against the cap. So I'm curious to see how that kind of all plays out. I think that will potentially trade some of their draft needs. They were already kind of trying to shore up that interior offensive line in the draft potentially. That was certainly a draft need that they had. And I think tackle is steadily climbing in the draft needs all of a sudden. It doesn't look like Mitchell. I mean, everybody kind of thinks that Mitchell Schwartz is potentially going to retire due to his injuries and stuff. But we'll have to see how that kind of all plays out and see how that kind of affects it. But we'll look more into that when we get a little bit more updates about what could eventually happen. The Times Our podcast that the Athletic puts out, Seth Kaiser, Joshua Briscoe, Nate Taylor did make a good point that Martinez Rankin did dress this week. He didn't play any snaps mostly because he's, I don't know, probably just didn't have to. But that they could do some shuffling around with his return as well, which is a good thing. And Seth Kaiser, I'll take his opinion on anything. He thinks that this could potentially suit the Chiefs' game plan against the Bucs a little bit, maybe just as good, if not a little smidge better than if Eric Fisher was out there.
There's a take.
Yeah, I love me some Seth Kaiser, and if he says that is the truth, then I'm gonna believe him, and I'm gonna get real optimistic about it. But
sure,
we'll talk a little bit about the preview next week. But let's talk. Let's move on to the second game, Bucs and Packers. Bucs win 31-26 in a very exciting game. Like Brian said, it looked like it was a back and forth there in the first half. Then the Bucs kind of took control of it, and then Tom Brady did everything he could to get the Packers back into this game, and he sure did. Kitty, what was your standouts of this game?
I mean, the fourth down reversal by Tampa Bay. They're throwing the punt team out there. Like, okay, what's
that was huge. Yep.
What are you doing? It's 4th and 3. What is going on? We don't
4th and game, right?
Well, there was. I'm saying for Tampa Bay at the end of the first half, there's no.
Oh yeah.
No little time. There was enough time to run a play, and if you don't make it, like Green Bay would have had to do something special even to get 3 points.
Yep.
And you were going to punt. Their first instinct was to punt. Crazy to me. And then the second craziest part of that whole sequence is the guy just going, "Go ahead, run behind me."
Yeah.
Go ahead, run behind me. It's 4th down. It's cool. I'll guard you later.
There's one thing you can't do. One thing you can't do.
Like, let the guy get 20 yards to the sideline. If that's what you're going to stand around and loaf, at least loaf farther down the field.
Yep.
That was, and just, especially it's Scotty Miller beat you.
Yeah.
What's happening?
Known for his speed, Scotty Miller.
Oh, if one thing is Scotty Miller, it's a speed merchant.
Speed Miller. His name. Speedy Miller is what it should be called.
Yeah, I could not believe the whole sequence of events from punt initial idea of punting to you just let Scotty Miller get behind you on 4th and 3 from the 45 yards. What is going on?
It was a 14-10 game at that point.
Just wild that they get that was that 14-10? Oh, so they went up 21-10 at that point.
Yep.
With that touchdown. Okay.
Yep.
I don't remember the exact score, but yeah, I mean, you go up from being down 4 at halftime to being down 11 has to be such a kick in the teeth.
Yep.
And they still had every chance to win that game. Still,
they did. Yep. So despite that, they should have went into half down 14-10, and then they get the ball back first in the second half, and Aaron Jones fumbles. It's like,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
that's when things really start going downhill for the Green Bay Packers. But like I said, Tom Brady is apparently a YOLO baller now, just throwing up the balls whenever he's getting pressure. Go get it, guys. Go get it. It'll be fine. Brian, what's your standout here?
I want him to keep doing that in the next game.
Absolutely.
Let's just keep that going.
Uh-huh.
I thought the story of the game was the Bucs defense won this game. Like you said, Tom did everything he could in the second half. 3 just terrible interceptions, and it's like, okay, well, this time you can't give Aaron Rodgers another possession. It's gonna bite you in the ass this time. And their defense always just seemed to step up. And the Packers sure helped. LaFleur sure helped when he decided to kick a field goal down 8 instead of giving the ball to the best player in your franchise the last 10 years.
Yeah.
But that was an interesting decision. I felt like the Bucs once again benefited from a blatant hold in the secondary that resulted in an interception. And then they benefit once again at the last play of deciding the game. The guy tugging on the jersey, and it looks bad and obvious, and it's a big play in the game, and the refs decide, well, now's the time that we need to call these holding. So that was greatly beneficial to Tampa Bay and 2 huge plays in the game.
All I could think about when that call was made at the end of the game was you going on your rant last week about, if you're going to call it. Just call it all the time. It's like, don't change it up because it's the playoffs. They not only changed it because of the playoffs, they changed it in the middle of the game.
Yep.
Like,
they let them hold all game long.
Yeah. I mean,
there were a couple holding calls to me where I could see how the refs could have missed them, quote unquote, on Tampa Bay. But the one where at the end of the first half where, I mean, he was pulling the guy's jersey off his shoulder pad. I mean, come on. Multiple refs should have seen that one. One of them should have thrown a flag. So that one,
And you see the receiver decelerate.
Right.
Like, he's running, and all of a sudden he stops running.
Yeah. And then the other is Rodgers just made some bad calls as far as who to throw to. Because the one where Lazard was just on the goal line by himself, he threw deep to Adams. Adams caught it, but out of bounds.
Yep.
That one was like, oh, he was just right there. I think the new would Alex Gordon have scored on the hit in the playoffs or the World Series versus what Aaron Rodgers have got to the end zone is the new that play.
Yep.
I love it.
My thought is he wouldn't have got in. Would have been close.
Was it a goal to go? I couldn't remember.
It was 3rd and goal from the 8. That's when he threw it to Adams, who was, I don't know why he threw it to Adams there. The guy was
triple covered.
2 dudes blanket all over him. Like, what are you doing? So, but then
in his defense, Devontae Adams is very good.
That's true. I think he would have got to about the 2-yard line.
Yep.
And so that would have been a fun 4th and goal, down 8 situation. But
I mean, who'd have known what Matt LaFleur would have done in that situation, 4th and 2?
He may have taken a delay game, kicked a field goal.
Yeah,
that's right.
For his kicker.
Gonna give the kicker his room.
Well, let's talk about that. People seem to be able to think that is the big play of the game, the big, at least questionable play of the game. And I was looking at Ben Baldwin's 4th down model, only gave him a medium suggestion to go for it there. 4th and goal from the 8, down by 8 with 5 minutes left.
He actually reversed that.
Oh, did he?
He adjusted his model because his model. He said that it was not too long ago. He said that the model was set up for touchdown, kick the extra point, and give the ball back to the defense, not considering a 2-point conversion possibility.
Right.
So it gave him a little stronger go for it with the new adjustment to saying you could go for 2 if need be.
That seems like a major tweak.
Well, they had to go for 2. They were down 8.
Right, that's but the model was only set up to say kick an extra point no matter what. There's no 2-point conversion in the model set up. So he had to do some tweak.
So we fixed the glitch.
Yes. He's no longer getting a paycheck.
Well, that's
because I mean, still, it was a go for it, but it wasn't as egregious as some of the punts that we saw in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
They still had a chance, and they had time, and they had a chance. My favorite call was going offside of the 2-minute warning.
Absolutely. Yep.
I feel like some teams, I hope every team would do that, but I'm pretty sure some teams would not do that.
Right.
I was kind of hoping they would decline the penalty. I was hoping they'd decline the penalty. Now we want 2nd and 1 actually, because you have 3 timeouts. We'll do this instead.
Yep.
Well, I also thought Tampa could have coached up that kick return a little better because he
don't go down.
Take it to the 2-minute warning at least. Run around.
That was so weird. We
don't care about yards. Just get us the 2-minute warning. So
there was some weird, just bizarre happening at the end of that game.
Dave Tobe must have been coaching him from afar.
Remember when he was a head coaching candidate?
Yeah.
The big standout to me was the fact that Green Bay had those 3 interceptions. The first one, they did respond with a touchdown. The other 2, the following 2, they went 3 and out on both of those for a combined -5 yards. They could have taken the lead on either one of those possessions and failed to do that. That's where they lost the game, not the LaFleur decision, not the missed calls or the wrong calls. It was those 2 drives.
Yep.
I mean, you still give the ball to Tom Brady with 2 minutes left to go down and take the ball back, but you cannot come out of those drives with nothing. So I think to me that was the story of the game. That's why the Packers lost. That's why the Bucs are the first team in NFL history to host the Super Bowl in their home stadium. Yank, whatever. Cool stat. But in the year of our Lord 2020, it's not going to matter. I mean, you're not going to see a bunch of Tampa Bay fans running around that stadium. It's the elite of the elite in that Super Bowl arena. There's going to be no home field advantage. It's just going to be a regular away game, and it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
And 7,500 vaccinated healthcare workers. Don't forget them, Josh.
True. I did see there was some. I think KU Med got most of the. I don't understand how they're doing that either, because if there was ever a time where you need your healthcare workers, it's right now. They deserve it. Don't get me wrong, but it's just a very interesting thing.
They've probably got some vacation saved up after being
they definitely
stuck on the clock for 10 months.
Definitely do. And if they don't, I'll donate some of mine. But it's just a weird timing. Right. So. We might talk about a little bit about what's coming up in the off season for some of these teams. I think I was talking to Brian today that there are teams that are in a lot of trouble. And I think the Packers are definitely one of them. The Saints, their window is very close. I think I saw that the over the cap has them estimated at $118 million over the cap for 2021. Very curious to see what happens in New Orleans, but I got to think that their window is shut officially. But we already talked a little bit about that in the offseason, maybe the preseason. We got plenty of time to do that. But you guys have any other standouts or anything to bring away from that game at all?
Nope. Covered
you got. All right. So next week we'll do the Super Bowl preview of the Chiefs and the Buccaneers. I think right now, the Chiefs are 3.5-point favorites. Is that correct?
3 or 3.5. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll talk a little bit about the scheming and stuff, and then what everybody really wants us to hear is our amazing gambling and bets. So we'll kind of break some of those down a little bit like we did last year. But that'll do it for the clearing waivers of this week. Let's get into the shenanigans, starting with the DFA. Hope I don't get Since there's just the 3 of us, we're going to go with another Family Feud style DFA where we play a little bit by the Family Feud rules. So what we're going to do here is I got 3 rounds with stats in each. It's going to be the point values there. I'll kind of explain that as we go, but we're going to do the showdown first. So hands on your buzzers, contestants. Give me your name when you think you have an answer here. The category is the top 6 leaders in passing yards per game in the NFL playoffs in 2020.
Team or player?
Player.
Brad.
Go.
Big Ben.
Big Ben is number 1 on the board. He averaged 501 yards per game in the playoffs this year. Great job. Do you want to play or pass this category?
I will play.
Play it. Okay. What else you got for this category?
Josh Allen next.
Josh Allen, not on this list. There's an option.
Wow.
Yeah, how about that?
Well, let's go with Mahomes next.
Mahomes is number 5 on this list, averaging 290 yards per game.
All right. Felt like Rodgers was slinging the ball quite a bit. Go with him.
Number 2 at 321 yards per game. Yep.
All right. Let's see. Played one game. Did Tannehill?
Not on this list. That's option 2. What else you got?
I'm going to go with Wilson. He was in catch-up mode.
He is not on this list either. That's 3 options. Brian gets a chance to steal all these points, and they are a lot of them.
That's a lot of points.
That's a lot of points on this board, Brian. Do you have a guess for 1,112 points?
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady's number 6, 287 points
Just
scored.
snuck in.
Yep.
Baker's got to be the other one on there.
Let's see. Let me make sure I got these. I think Brian got 1,399 points there. Number 3 on this list is Phillip Rivers. Threw for 309 yards in his one game.
Of course he did.
Yeah.
Kitty, you're going to kick yourself for this 4th guy.
Is it Baker?
It was not Baker. Heineke, 306 yards passing.
Taylor. Oh, Taylor Heineke. I love that dude.
306 yards in his sole playoff appearance this week.
Unbelievable.
Brian taking that category as a 1,399 point. Love this.
Big lead.
I kind of forgot Washington was even in the playoffs.
Big lead.
Right.
Yeah, I was trying to think of what teams
Wipe
were.
that out of my head.
Uh-huh.
Figured Russell Wilson. Man.
My original question was going to be the teams that beat the last 4 teams in the playoffs. And I think that's a good question. So maybe don't research that.
Mm-hmm.
Save that for later. Let's go to round 2 showdown. You guys ready?
Yep.
Ready.
This one is going to be the same situational, the top 5 leaders in receiving yards per game in the playoffs.
Brian.
Brett.
Go.
Tyreek.
Number 2 with 282 yards receiving. I'm sorry. No, that's not right. 141 yards receiving per game in his 2 games.
Okay, so we're going average. I'm going to play.
Play. Okay. These are worth double, by the way, to kind of even everything out.
How about Travis Kelce?
Travis Kelce is number 4 with 113.5 and like 7 touchdowns a game.
We're going average here. Stephon Diggs.
Not on this list. He was number 6.
Whoa.
Number 6 on the list.
Mike Evans.
Nope. Too many drops.
He had that one game we had one game we only had 1 catch for like 3 yards.
Then last week was pretty mediocre too. One more guess.
Well, God, that really just kicks me right in the nuts. Shit.
And Kitty's dancing around like he feels pretty damn good about this.
Thinking about players.
I'm sure I'm forgetting some big ones here. Average. I don't think he had the yards, but let's go Devontae Adams.
Not on this list, no. Kitty, to steal all these points that Brian's racked up here, what do you got?
We'll go T.Y. Hilton.
Not on this list. No.
No!
So Brian gets 509 more points.
I'm in real trouble here.
What the hell are these guys' names?
Was it DK up there?
Well, think about, Kitty, what was your first answer to the quarterbacks?
Big Ben. I just don't know which Steeler had all the yardage. Deontay?
I mean, you could have said 2 of them because Juju had 157 yards that game. Deontay Johnson had 117.
Oh, wow.
The 5th player, Cam Sims, in that lone Washington game, he
trying
had 104.
Yeah, I was trying to think if this McLaurin got a whole lot
What
of
an
that.
asshole question this was.
Yeah. Well, don't worry
Heineke and Cam
because
Sims.
The next one's going to be worse.
next one's even better. So we went with quarterbacks, we went with receivers. Now we're going with the top 4 rushing yards per game in the NFL playoffs. Showdown time.
Brad.
Go.
Cam Akers.
Number 1 with 110.5 yard average. Play or pass?
I want to play this or not. I'm going to pass it to Brian.
Oh, no.
Let him screw around with some running backs there.
This is not good.
I think in theory, Kitty can't catch you regardless. I think you've already
Yeah,
won this,
probably should have maybe played it to have a chance, but it doesn't really matter.
Per game.
It's more fun to watch Brian squirm for his answers.
I hate you. I hate you.
You're gonna make him earn the moon shot.
Well, we know one of these assholes is going to be Washington running back. We know that much because they just put up a ton of yards, I guess. But I'm not going to go with Gibson yet. How about playoff Lenny Fournette?
Not on this list. Nope.
Oh, that sucks.
Wow.
Good start.
I would have thought he'd be on there.
Really?
I don't think he did much that first game, but I could be wrong.
I mean, when I think about these teams, there's not a ton of guys that. Shit.
There are plenty of guys that only played one game and they played pretty damn well in it.
That's why this is dirty as hell because
I know
those guys have long forgotten.
Yep.
How about Nick Chubb?
Not on this list. Nope.
Fuck. How about Daryl the Barrel Williams?
Nope.
Wow.
Not quite. Kitty, you got 3 dudes here to steal. What do you got?
I'm going to go Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor is number 4, averaging 78 yards per game.
Man, congratulations. More than that.
Kitty avoids the shutout.
Avoids the skunking.
Jonathan Taylor.
Also on that list, Alvin Kamara averaged 92 yards per game. Lamar Jackson, number 3 at 85 yards per game rushing.
Wow. God dang it. He didn't say running backs. He said rushers.
Considering he went out in the third quarter in his second game, it's very surprising that he was able to average 85. But and even, I mean, the Bills held him to like
they bottled him up.
Something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I was very surprised by that. But Brian, despite his constant complaining and bitching, does pull out the win. You wouldn't know it by the way he's reacting to the game, but he did pull out the win this week. So congratulations, Brian. You'll be going first in the Keep Trade Cut for this week.
This game still stinks.
I thought your game was great, Josh.
Thanks, Kitty. You get an extra 2,000 points. So you are the actual winner. And you'll be going first in Keep Trade Cut. The Keep Trade Cut this week is the Fast and the Furious Cast Edition. We're all big fans of the Fast and Furious franchise here, but we're going to keep, trade, and cut a trio of these staples in that franchise universe. We're going Vinny Diesel. We're going Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and we're going Jason Statham, all bringing something a little bit different to the table than the other ones, but we got to make some hard decisions here. So we're going to obviously keep trade cut and then trade for someone else we're bringing into the franchise. So Kitty, go first.
I'm glad I was able to snake first.
I wasn't lying. Brian is punished.
Well, I mean, I have seen every one of the movies in the Fast and Furious franchise, even the Hobbs and Shaw spinoff.
Oh yeah.
And since I've seen the Hobbs and Shaw spinoff, my cut is Vin Diesel.
Ooh.
Tough cut for Dominic, but I saw Hobbs and Shaw, and the one thing I didn't want is Dominic in there. So that's a real. It's a hard cut, but I think the charisma and just a little bit more acting chops from Dwayne and Statham is a little turning point for me on those. So I can. The family's done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
family's over. I'm sorry, buddy. You already broke bad once. I don't need you hanging around again to break bad again.
Great point.
With that, this is the hardest choice.
This is the hardest choice. Okay.
Trade or keep between The Rock and Statham.
That's interesting.
And with the poster behind me, with all Europe back there. I think that might be a clue to who I'm keeping.
You do hate Americans.
I'm keeping the Stath.
Wow.
Love the Shaw brothers. Oh man, how they've able to, and then not only did they bring in with Statham as the Shaw brother, They have Helen Mirren as the mom.
Yep.
You got to keep Statham around just to
Yep.
keep Helen Mirren around. That's a great added bonus with Statham. And I love Statham.
Yep.
Ever since the movie Snatch, just great stuff.
Plus, he drives a lot of cars being the transporter.
He knows his way around a vehicle.
Sure does.
So with that, I'm left to trade Dwayne Johnson, which I think is hella value there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I want to see
I
You
wrote
can
down
get anyone for him.
value you're pulling there.
I wrote down several names.
I had multiple
Just
names
in case
too.
in case I didn't go first, I want to make sure if my guy got snaked off me, I
Uh-huh.
had someone ready to go. And I'm going to go Russell Crowe.
Oh my God.
I'm not sure if you guys remember the trailer for the movie Unhinged. No one saw the movie, but he was he got cut off in traffic, and then he basically just stalks this lady and her family for cutting him off in traffic. So another guy that knows his way around a vehicle. I think he's great. He can play evil jerk character.
Mhm.
He could also play lovable scamp like in The Nice Guys. Range for days with Russell Crowe. So I'm going to add him as he could either be a villain or he could join the crew.
Yeah.
So give me
Or
some
he could do
Russell
both.
Crowe.
He could be introduced as the villain and then join the family afterwards.
Very true. He's got so many options with Russell Crowe in there.
Yep.
So give me him. I think that's probably a pretty far off the wall pick, but I like it.
On my multiple draft board for trade value, Russell Crowe was not on my board. I don't hate it though. I don't hate it. Not a European either. He's an Aussie, so it's even more of a surprise from you.
Well, it's just not an American. That's all that really counts.
That's true. That's true. Brian, I'm gonna let you go second here. What do you got?
All right. If we were talking just general movies, this might be a little harder, but we're talking Fast and Furious here. So this makes easy cut. Statham, you're out, bud. Sorry. You're not really a staple of this show. You got a sweet accent. I enjoyed your performance, but I'm cutting your ass. This is where it gets tough. Because everyone knows I love The Rock, Dwayne Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
But we're talking Fast and Furious here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sorry, Dwayne. We're trading you away. And I'm going to trade you away for Charlie Hunnam. And I want you to be, I want not just Charlie Hunnam, I want to trade for Jax Teller.
Jax Teller.
Because I want the Fast and Furious crew to work with the Sons of Anarchy for an entire movie where we need to employ the biker gang to help them take down bad guys.
You need Tig, you need Juice, you need all these guys. Bobby.
I mean, I couldn't be more in if they got the crew of Sons of Anarchy to be in a movie with the Fast and Furious crew. So I'm keeping Vin Diesel. He's the face of the franchise. It wouldn't be Fast and Furious without Vin Diesel. And I believe there is no one that can deliver a cheese dick line better than Vin Diesel. He believes every word of those sentences he spits out. And it makes it so much more enjoyable. And it makes guys like me and Kitty crack up in the middle of a movie theater when nobody else is laughing because he's trying to be serious.
I will grant you that. That is so true. There were some good times watching those.
That's why we're running into a kind of an identity crisis with this franchise, because very much seems like Vin Diesel is it's a drama to Vin Diesel.
Oh yeah.
But
it's a film.
Hobbs and Shaw is not a drama.
Right.
It's cinema, not film. It's cinema.
I don't even know if cinema is the right word.
Unbelievable.
I think it makes it better too going forward when you see the shots from set when Vin Diesel has to stand on a milk crate to be face to face with actual big guys. Like just knowing like his psyche, like
yes,
that's got to be so bizarre. And so when I see him in movies after knowing that fact, it makes it all the funnier when I listen to him try to be a badass, so a legit badass like The Rock.
Knowing that somebody had to figure out a way to make him be able to look The Rock eye to eye, knowing that multiple people had to spend hundreds of hours to craft a way to make that look that way. Hilarious to me. I love it so much.
Yep. Got to keep it.
I did not think going into this, I was worried that it was going to be 3 just chalk answers. It was going to be the same across the board. Boys, we got 3 different answers here.
All right.
Oh, all right. I love it.
I am also cutting Vin Diesel. Also very tough. I agree with Kitty, but his star is fading, and it's fading at one straight to DVD movie at a time. He is the Fast and the Furious franchise, but there's an identity crisis after Hobbs and Shaw. It seems like that's the new hit thing. That's the new recipe that's going to create longevity for this franchise. So Vinny D's got to go. Family is, you can still get the family with the rest of this cast. Still get that element. But Vin Diesel's out. I'm out of here. I'm keeping The Rock because he is the total package when it comes to this universe. You get the action, you get the cheesy cheese dick lines that he can deliver. He also can pull off the drama and the family aspect as well. Total package with Dwayne The Rock Johnson. So obviously I am trading Jason Statham, and I'm coming down to the wire on who I'm trading for here because it's just there's just so many good candidates. Could it be Robert Downey Jr.? Maybe he could be an interesting addition to this. Could it be Ryan Gosling? I mean, he can drive cars and he can deliver cheese dick lines while also being super sexy. So that'd be a hell of an addition. I have settled on Chris Pratt. I think Chris Pratt can do the action. He can do the cheese dick lines. He can just play the same character as Star-Lord in that Fast and the Furious franchise. They're going to space apparently in this next one. So
that's
he's already pulling off space. So Chris Pratt would be a great addition to this cast.
Interesting.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean,
what if
I
we
kind of
put
want him
Sons
to be
of Anarchy in space?
I mean,
I kind of want to see Chris Pratt as Andy Dwyer in this universe more.
Yep.
I think that'd be kind of
that
good
would
comic
be great.
Guy is pretty good.
Him interacting with Ludacris and Tyrese, I think, would be very funny.
Yes, that would be some good stuff. I like how none of us really went with the probably the pick everyone else would want to see is Nick Cage.
Yeah.
Universe.
See, I don't want to.
He's already unhinged.
A second unhinged reference. Franchise. You were talking about something I didn't.
Oh, that's
think
a movie.
Anybody...
Oh, Jesus. Unhinged.
See, I don't want to get that expendable stink on it. They're not there yet. They're on that track, but I don't want to pull in some weird wackadoo like Nick Cage. He would be glorious, but I think he's just a little too much at this point.
My if I had to add a female, my pick was Zoe Saldana, a little Colombiana.
I like that a lot.
Get her in the mix.
Yeah. I was trying to think of some females too. I do love me some Ana de Armas. I think she'd be great as well.
Yep. Hey, back-to-back weeks we're bringing her up.
Yep, she deserves it, man.
Josh found a new favorite actress.
She was very good at Knives Out.
Always goes back to Knives Out.
Always the Knives Out. I also try to shoehorn away Chris Evans would fit in this cast because he's also very good, but I don't think he fits. I don't think he's there. So let's get into the waiver wire draft here, doing the usual order here. This waiver wire draft was inspired by shout out to the Good Morning Football crew on Monday morning. They were talking about how Tyreek and Travis Kelce should be and probably are considered underappreciated or underrated for what they're able to do. It's very likely that Kelce goes down as the GOAT tight end, or definitely in the conversation as that right now. And despite people still finding ways to not include Tyreek Hill in the best wide receiver options in the league, I think very much he does things that, like Brian said, nobody has ever seen before in that position. So they're both underrated, both are underappreciated. So we are drafting underrated and underappreciated things here. I'm going to go first here. We're going to go in the reverse order, keep trade cut. And I'm not going to change the world any of my underrated. This is basically just a way to get some of my takes off is how I kind of went with this.
That's what it's all about, Josh.
Yep. My first pick then is water from the hose. You're probably
101.
Yeah. I thought there was maybe a time, Brian, you might have tried to grab this because we've talked about this before. But if you're drinking water from a hose, you cannot wait to get inside and pour yourself some water from the faucet with some ice in it. Can't wait. So it's doubly refreshing, doubly convenient. So water from a hose, underappreciated, underrated. I feel like you guys are doing that to my face right now.
What?
You're underappreciating how good water from a hose is.
Well, you just admitted that when you drink from a
you'd
hose,
rather
all
go
you want to do
inside.
is go drink inside.
No. That's not my point. My point is,
Sounds like
it's you need a drink so badly that you're going to drink from the hose, so you don't have to go inside. So it's refreshing and convenient.
I think you're twisted.
Okay.
I'm not. It makes perfect sense to me.
You've got problems.
Whatever.
So do you like the taste from the hose or not?
Well, why wouldn't I have picked it if I didn't like the taste, Brian?
I don't know. It sounds like you didn't like it.
Sounds like you're just
explained
doing it
your
because you
initial
don't want to go
explanation.
inside.
Well, I also don't want to go inside, but I also like the taste of water from a hose.
I mean, okay.
I get it's like a win-win-win for Josh drinking water from the hose.
First overall pick.
All right.
We're not going to have overlapping picks, so what are you worried about? I don't know why I need to catch shit for this. We're all going to have 9 different things here.
In your mind, the most underappreciated thing in the world is water hose.
I mean, I don't have a draft order
in his life. In his life, maybe.
My big board does not need to be prioritized because we are not going to have overlap.
No, I don't think so.
Brian, take your stupid pick and shove it up your ass because you're going last now.
Oh,
just go. I'm on a power trip.
All right. This is nothing new if you've listened to this podcast before, but I think the underappreciated number one pick for me is stuffing. We only use stuffing at Thanksgiving. It should be used all year round, especially in the winter months. Anytime you have a family dinner, it should have stuffing on it. It should be right there with mashed potatoes that we have for every meal. Every time you get together, you pretty much have mashed potatoes of some kind. There needs to be stuffing next to those mashed potatoes. Please bring stuff. Bring it to everyone. Bring it to everyone. Every meal we have, let's have some stuffing. It's delicious.
I always go to the store. Is stovetop available year round?
Oh yeah.
Or is it more just
it's available all the time.
Let's start eating more stovetop stuffing. I know you probably want more of the homemade stuff, but
I'm fine with stovetop.
Stovetop is an adequate substitute for most of the year. I think we should probably
100%
be eating more stovetop.
It's kind of like macaroni and cheese. Like the more you church it up, the better it gets as well.
Mm-hmm. Don't get too cute though.
That's true. Right. You gotta be, there's a, what is it? I believe the word is Ungapatchka. Too many, too many things in the kit, too many cooks in the kitchen basically, and you're ruining it.
There's your title.
Too many flavors. Too many
How
flavors.
How do you spell
Ungapatchka.
that?
I think it's OONGAPATCHKA.
That phrase is underappreciated, if you ask me.
Yeah. Ungapatchka.
I've never heard that in my life.
It's a Yiddish word that describes the overly ornate, busy, ridiculously over-decorated, and garnished to the point of distaste.
Hey, there you go.
Ungapatchka. We found it. You nailed it, Kitty. That's $1 million word.
Overdoing the stuffing. That's a shout out to the Doughboys.
Wow. Ungapatchka.
Another podcast.
All right.
All right. Man, my list is wide open, like you said.
Wide
Josh.
open. Yeah.
I could go. I might as well just do my own single number one. And I'm going to go with, you stole it, the movie Your Highness. Underappreciated, underrated. That movie is absolutely hilarious. Hilarious. Everyone loves McBride. Eastbound and Down, Vice Principals, Righteous Gemstones. Everyone's like, oh, he's so good. He's so good. He's so good. What about Your Highness? Movie's terrible.
Awful.
Danny McBride, same guy, doing the same stuff, just in a setting of medieval times.
It's funny.
I don't get it. It's hilarious. I love it. If Rance was here, he'd be singing his praises as well. So at least we'd have two of us. But I think it should be
Brian seems to like it.
No, I think it's a worthy pick. It's not like Josh says.
Unbelievable. Is it? It's the water from the hose pick
of mine. Yes,
it gets the job done. Yeah, you laugh watching the movie. You're not thirsty anymore.
That's good.
Your Highness.
Actually,
okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna take something that I might steal from BK here.
Oh, baby.
And that is saying no to stuff you don't want to do.
That would be right on my alley.
Oh, that feels good. That feels really good.
Yeah.
Because it's not because you're doing something else. You just don't want to do something.
Don't want to do that. Yeah.
No, I'm not doing that.
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow. You can do that, huh? Or yes, you can, and it feels great. I'd rather sit at home and do jack shit than do whatever you asked me to do. So, see ya. I'm out. Sitting at home.
And you turn invisible or you teleport out.
Exactly. So, since you can't teleport out, you got to say no beforehand.
That's
So,
right.
You got to stick to your guns early.
Yep.
People that make the New Year's resolution to say yes to everything in that year are insane to me.
Oh, yeah.
I do not want to say yes to almost anything. So why would I want to say it to everything?
I never understood that one either.
I've never made that resolution. I don't think I ever will.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say yes more this year. I'm gonna say yes.
I'm gonna say no more.
Yeah, that's. Yeah.
I'm gonna try these shoes out and see where they take me.
Mhm.
Brian, second pick.
Carrey.
That's right.
No
No
man.
man. No man.
I'm sticking
Starring
in the,
Russell Crowe.
I'm sticking in the food category with my pick number 2, and that's cocktail sauce. Everybody,
Ooh.
cocktail sauce is delicious, and I would like to talk to the asshole that made ketchup the default condiment to put out for fries, because there are so many other dips that are better with fries than ketchup. Cocktail
Including
sauce being
cocktail
one of them.
sauce.
Cocktail sauce delicious with fries.
Interesting.
Honey
It
mustard, barbecue sauce, better versions of ketchup are everywhere, and
I mean,
they still continue to bring me ketchup with my fries.
Ketchup is quite the base for cocktail sauce anyway, so you're
Yeah.
just proving on the ketchup that's already there with cocktail sauce with
You
the
church up,
horseradish.
you
You
church
sure-
up for barbecue sauce, dude.
Don't Belschnickel it or whatever that word was.
Ungapatchka.
Belschnickel. Kind of like that one more. Ungapatchka.
Ungapatchka. You don't want to Ungapatchka the ketchup too much. You
That's
might
true,
turn
you
into
Cocktail sauce is the limit. Anything else to the cocktail sauce, you're going too
cocktail sauce is Schlansky ketchup.
far. It really is, but it's so good.
It's delicious ketchup,
Hmm.
especially if
Really
you
is good.
make it a little spicy.
A little
Yep.
extra horseradish in there.
Oh yeah.
Extra horseradish. Clear up those sinuses, baby.
Yep.
My second pick, also coming from the food category, is breakfast pizza. That should be included in if you have a restaurant that serves breakfast or brunch and you don't have breakfast pizza on the menu, you are missing out. Because that should be on every menu that has ever served breakfast or brunch. Period.
That's a great point, Josh. Nobody does it, and a lot of these places, like some of our favorites on this podcast, that do flatbreads for like happy
Yeah.
hour and stuff, just
You
use
know,
that
name
shit.
names. Name names.
Nope, won't do it.
Name them.
We're giving them free ideas here, Josh. You have flatbreads in the back. Just
Yep.
throw some breakfast ingredients
Instead of
on top.
instead of the breakfast tacos, you throw that on a flatbread.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
Get a breakfast pizza.
Yep. Maybe instead of sauce, do a little gravy. Seems
yeah.
to be pretty.
That's
seems to be
what you
pretty.
do.
Yep.
Mm, there you are.
I think it's a $1 million idea, Dan.
Breakfast flatbreads
breakfast flatbreads.
and
$1
pizza.
million idea.
Yeah, I like that.
Add it to the list of things that we've come up on this podcast.
Dip it in
worth
cocktail
millions of
sauce.
dollars. That's my jaw line there. My third pick, definitely not on anybody's list. Street lights. We both come from an area where
That's a good
street lights are not needed. They have them every now and then, sparsely sprinkled out throughout the township. But now, like, I've lived on a couple streets that my old house didn't have a single street light on it, and it was dark all the time. And this one we have now goes out seemingly once a week, and it is pitch black in a highly populated area. It is very eerie. So street lights, very underrated.
Fair.
Yeah, those are. It is weird when you're going through an area that with the street light, and then when it's not there, how much
Yep.
different and weird it feels, and how much you
Yes.
don't like it. Same way, and it's also a great for parents to tell your kids come home when the street lights turn on.
Correct. Yep.
So you've
The
got
built-in alarm clock.
Built-in alarm clock / babysitter.
Yep. So I like street
You want
lights
that?
as my underrated pick.
Yeah,
Number
Those are
3.
good. I like that.
So we've all admitted to being scared of the dark. That's what
Yes.
we've done here.
Correct.
Oh, I used to run home from my neighbor's house so fast when I was a little
Yeah,
kid.
you've told this story, haven't you?
Yeah,
Yep.
it's so crazy how fast I would try to run home because I was
Yep.
I don't know I must have watched Unsolved Mysteries too. I think that was what I talked about last time.
Yeah.
Goddamn Unsolved Mysteries scared the shit out of me.
Ditto. Yep. Brian, third pick.
Third pick, I'm going local sports here. And I feel like us as Chiefs fans underappreciate Anthony Hitchens and what he does for this defense. I feel like when we talked to Craig Stout earlier, he said that he's the guy that tells everybody where to be and where to go. Ever since he told us about that, I've kind of paid attention to that. And it does make a huge difference when he's not out there because he's telling people what to do. And it drives me insane when defenses don't react to quarterbacks clearly making audibles to the line. And we saw that a little bit Sunday with Josh Allen. He came out there and he did alert, did this after we kind of showed a blitz coming off the edge. And as soon as he did that, you saw Hitchens. He's changing up the defense and changing it up. I hate defenses that leave that blitz on because the offenses clearly saw you put a blitz and they've changed to get out of it. I love to see that out of Hitchens. He's so underappreciated, Josh. You called him Alex earlier. So Anthony Hitchens is going to be my pick for underappreciated, underrated.
Doesn't sound like something I would do.
Really doesn't.
Well, you really helped it because I already had him on my list, and then you said Alex. I am not going to correct you here. I'm going to dog you later.
Oh, you didn't. You're not. You're sitting on a chance to dog me for the. Okay, makes
weird.
I like that's impressive. I like
anything for a laugh, Josh.
It's true. That's a podcast motto right there. All right, so I think it's my third pick here.
Whatever. I don't care.
All right.
Underappreciated things. Me. Fuck you, Brian.
So there it is. Oh, pick 4 for Josh. He's coming in early.
Yeah. Jump the gun. Underappreciated. Jumping the gun.
I'm going to go with being healthy. And not even just overall, like not a major issue, but like say you pinch your finger at some point and you've got a bruise on the end of your finger. And every single thing you do for the next 3 days is annoying.
Is related to that finger.
Somehow, my finger is used in 100% of the things I do.
Yep.
That hurts. Even if it's the pinky somehow, the pinkies now is my most important finger.
Yep.
So just not appreciating the times where that isn't occurring.
True.
You never appreciate that. You're just like, okay, this is just blah, 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 day. Then you hurt yourself and like, oh my God, everything I do is the worst in the world.
For me, that's the feeling of being nauseous. Like when you're nauseous, you only appreciate the times when you aren't nauseous.
That's true. Yes, I know that one. Yeah.
So that's right along the same lines for sure.
Oh yeah, I feel that big time. I remember feeling that way kind of in sports, like when you have an injury, you sprain your ankle or something, you're like, this is really hard to run. Like when I'm healthy, why don't I just sprint all the time? Why don't I just run like a madman all the time? I can't run anymore. Why don't I do that when I'm healthy? And then you get healthy again, and you're like, I hate running.
Running sucks.
Exactly.
For the birds.
It is for the birds.
Kitty.
Let's go.
Round 4. Kick us off.
All right. God, I got a couple here. It's pretty good, I think.
Yep. I hope one of you takes one of my last ones so I don't have to choose between them.
Which would be amazing. I'm going to go with ignorance. Underappreciated. I mean, they say it, ignorance is the cliche is ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which it is, but I think people that are not ignorant don't appreciate how awesome ignorance would be.
You're so right.
Yeah.
I hate knowing things half my day. It just sucks. Knowing stuff really sucks sometimes.
For sure.
So,
it ruins everything.
Love to be ignorant. Because then also the people that are ignorant don't know they're ignorant. So it's real fucking catch-22 there too.
I mean, ignorance is bliss for a reason.
Yep.
It's bliss because you don't know you're ignorant. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping that somehow just walking down the street and some tree branch falls out of the sky, hits me in the head. I get amnesia and I'm ignorant for at least a few days while I have amnesia.
Sure.
Give me some of that.
Get the Men in Black like pin. Just make you erase your memory.
Give me that neuralizer for, I'm not sure how far I want to go back, but
yeah,
it'll be a while.
Yep.
Several years for sure.
Times were simpler in the mid 2000s, probably.
Yeah, I think at least 15 years back should cover it.
Good enough. Get on the horn, Back to the Future. Christopher Lord, looking for you. Brian, last pick.
I'm going GPS.
Ooh, yep.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like a game changer when we were young and MapQuest was a thing where you print out your directions where you go someplace.
Suck it, Rand McNally.
But if you ever get off path, if you ever get off track, those directions, you might as well wipe your ass with them because they're worthless after that. That MapQuest map, that ship has sailed, and now you're back to where am I and how do I get back on track? And that MapQuest is no good. And I mean, remember back when people before MapQuest, you remember looking at fucking maps to try to figure out where you're going?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I had to, yeah.
You know how many marriages GPS has saved when you're arguing about being lost? And you're
Just
like,
ask somebody where we are.
where are we? What you got the person in the passenger seat? Where are we? I don't fucking know where we are. Where do you think we are? How many more miles till we get there? I don't know. It's somewhere up here on the map. Like reading a map and trying to navigate when you're lost is some of the most stressful shit you'll ever deal with in your life. And
Yeah.
GPS has saved so many marriages, I feel like, because you don't have that stress. You don't have that argument of figuring out how to get to where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's huge.
That's decent. Yep.
Very true. Especially when it's all, especially just either it's in your dashboard now or on your phone. It just
So ease of access for sure.
yeah, the access even more so.
You don't have to type it even. You can just talk into your phone and
Yep.
it can tells you how to get there. It's insane.
Yep. I'm gonna close this out here, and I've got two good ones. The one I'm not gonna pick is just rain. I'm gonna go with another water source. There's too much besmirchment in the name of rain that I'm not here for. Underappreciated.
Oh, I'm
is
with
rain.
you. I understand because I basically my whole stance is I hate rain.
Yeah. Yep.
So
People,
you're right.
people,
You're not wrong.
people talk too much shit about rain. Just for the record, no, it's not going to be my pick, but for the record, rain is awesome.
You did like gray skies for winter or whatever.
I
fuck
do.
that was.
My official pick is electricity. Kind of along the same lines as every storm, every time it wipes out the power, you realize how much you need electricity. I'm convinced that the next plague that we have in the middle of a pandemic, the next plague we have is a very large power outage. It's going to kill half of the world population just because they don't know how to deal without electricity. And I might be one of them, sincerely. I think electricity is 100% underappreciated, slept on, and it still gets a lot of credit. Still needs more. So the power of electricity.
Yeah, I 100%. I would be in dire straits without it.
Mm-hmm.
I saw someone posting on Twitter today making fun of a guy because he rented a camper van to go into make a road trip, and he like ran out of electricity early, and he was just, "What the hell, van? I don't know what's going on with electricity." he couldn't understand how to deal without electricity in the back of the van and all. It was just hilarious.
Yep.
Just the quotes the guy was pulling out of the article. So funny.
Yeah, it's basically the foundation of everything else that we love. We couldn't have it without electricity.
Yep.
It's very true.
Times would be very, very different without electricity.
Oh my God.
But
I don't have the strength or mental fortitude to make it very long without electricity.
Oh yeah. Yep.
It didn't make my final list, but I've got also on here honorable mention, and that's the cost to mail a letter across the country. I feel like
it's on my list.
Okay.
On my list was post office. Post office was on my list.
The idea of if you have a letter and you say, I need this to get all the 1,300 miles, how much will you charge me to take this letter there? 55 cents.
Yeah, it's
55
amazing.
cents. I mean, you should charge me $5,500 to take this thing 1,300 miles. Like 55 cents. I don't think they're charging enough.
It's a hell of a deal. Hell of a deal. Yeah, I'm with you. That's post office. One of my weird one was how massive the oceans are.
Yeah, that is underappreciated.
They're insane. They're really big. Like when you're like, oh, we've discovered a bunch of new species over the last 10 years because we couldn't get cameras to locations in the ocean. Like, oh wow. This oceans are pretty big. I love it.
They house thousands of gray whales, and I learned that you can drive a Volkswagen car in their heart valves. And there are thousands of them in that
Right.
water.
That's
That's so
wild.
big. So big.
I mean, Christ almighty.
Well, you can take a boat trip from several. If you go to visit a port city, you do a boat trip just to go out for miles. You might see jack shit.
Yep.
There's no guarantee you see anything because ocean's massive and might not be there that day in that area.
I mean, oceans is a great answer, and I think we can all agree it's just no water hose. just no water hose water.
Well, because that ocean, you can't drink the ocean water.
Oh, buddy.
I thought that was a damn good answer. You can go to hell. That's horseshit. Says the guy who had. I mean, I'm not on board with this post office idea or sending. You could do that electronically now. I know you're both stupid.
At post office.
You don't have to pay anything to send things longer than a post office now.
I didn't realize your internet service was free, Josh. It's my fault.
Okay, so how many letters do you have to send? So think about all the corresponding you do with all your friends and stuff, and think about putting them 38 cents per message.
Can you imagine how awesome it would be at work if I had to send it through the mail?
Only through mail.
I have to do so much less work a day. It'd be amazing.
True story. Work from home.
Still waiting on that reply, boss.
That's right.
Yeah. Guess the mail must be backed up a little bit. I haven't seen it.
Could you let me know what I need to charge to this week while I wait for your response? Is that considered downtime, or what am I charging to? Well, on that note, let's charge to nothing and get out of here. We aren't doing best bets this week because A, we're terrible at them, and B, there's really nothing to bet on this weekend in football, which is the name of the game for us. But we will make up for it next week with our Super Bowl episode, Super Bowl preview. We'll talk about some of the prop bets, and we might try to get some kind of organization of the Sink Pissers to potentially do some, maybe a little betting on the side, but we'll have some more details kind of on how that could potentially have. So we'll get you some information on that, but in the meantime, we do appreciate all the time that you guys have given us listening to us on this podcast. We appreciate it. Hope you keep doing it. Hope you get some friends to do it as well. But we always appreciate all the interactions we have with Sink Pissers on social media. If you follow us on Twitter at Clearing Waivers. We have the group and the page on Facebook. Go like us there. We're also on Instagram. But yeah, just come interact with us. We always appreciate talking to you guys. But for that, we do want to thank you one more time for Brian, Kitty, and myself. Ta-ta for now.
close to the flame.